Everyone, I apologize for what has happened. So my Q&A stream was originally going to be on YouTube. However, as I could not get the stream to function correctly, I have moved it here. So yeah, I do apologize once again for that. I am still trying to figure out how to live stream on YouTube. So hopefully I'll be able to do it in the near future. However, at the moment, I cannot figure out how to properly do it, so I am doing it here. So today was going to be a Q&A stream. So if you have any questions, feel free to type in a comment, and I'll read it out and hopefully answer it. So for those of you who do not know me, I am Bryce Pace. I am an autism advocate. I am also a blogger, and I do speaking as well. I'm also a representative on the Victorian Student Representative Council, which is a group of 15 students, and well, yeah, we represent students from the state of Victoria. You can also find me not just on this Facebook page, but I am also on YouTube. There is a whopping 2 videos on there. So that should be great. So you can find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and this Facebook page. If you do have any questions, please type them in the comments and I will try and answer them. You could also type them in any of my social media pages. Before I begin, I would like to thank everyone for turning up. I can see there is one person. Thank you to that one person. I'd also like to thank everyone for their support for this past week. It has been amazing, the comments that I've read through my past few posts. And I do thank everyone for those lovely comments. So let's begin. I have one question. So please, if you have any questions, make sure you do type them in. So my first and only question that I got before this stream is from Gabby Steele, and she asks, what inspired you to become an advocate and start a blog? So I guess this is sort of my background story. It's going to be my answer. So about a year ago, I suddenly got pretty frustrated with what students around my school were how they're perceiving autism. So quite a lot of time in class, they would use autistic as an insult, so that they ask someone as like a joke, are you autistic, if they got something wrong. And it got to the point where I got really frustrated with that, and something that tipped me over the edge even more was the last straw, which was on Facebook, sorry. There was a few people who were my friends at that time. They're not anymore. They put up a few pictures of themselves. I do apologize. My battery's about to run low on this computer. I'll just quickly plug this in. So pretty much they had a few pictures up, and they're going with the caption of autistic boys. Now you can tell how my reaction to that was. Wasn't very good. So that night when I came home from school, after I saw that post on Facebook, I decided to write my own Facebook post, talking about how I really hated the negative perception of autism, and that pretty much we do look pretty normal. We don't have really a look to us, and that we could be just walking around and some of us even speak to you, all that sort of thing. If you actually saw my post for the anniversary of my blog, that actually has that original post on it, so you can read more about that. So I made that post, I posted it, that got quite a few likes. It got about 30 or so, which was a lot at the time, and quite a lot of views, people that viewed it. And from there, I sort of felt like, well, that's not enough. I need to do more. So that is when I wrote another one, and I kept writing. And after that, I sort of saw, I didn't really see myself as an advocate, but I just liked blogging, so I was sort of like a blogger, I guess. So I started up a Facebook page, which is the one that you're viewing this on right now. So where was I? I made that up, and I started to participate in, I started actually speaking at a few things here and there. Then after I was part of the inquiry into services of people on the autism spectrum, something like that, the parliamentary inquiry, the Warrnambool Standard actually called me up, and they wanted a interview with me, and that is when I started to see myself as an advocate, because they actually called me a autism advocate. So that is pretty much what inspired me to become an advocate, I guess. And also why I started a blog was because I wrote that post and it got quite a lot of views, so I kept going. And now I do it quite regularly. So that is the answer to Gabby Steele's post there of what inspired me to become an advocate and start a blog. That is actually the only question that I got prior to this stream. So if you do have any other questions, please feel free to add them in. Sorry. Just trying to bring up. So you can see I've got a new comment somewhere. Oh, okay, so this is from Solomon Smith. Says, yes, people think in stereotypes, but with mono minds, and how is my training going with ICANN network? So for those of you that don't know, I am a mentor in training with the ICANN network. The ICANN network is an organization that works with autistic people to basically educating them about the rethink of autism from I can't to I can. So my training with the ICANN network, it's going pretty damn well. I'm also a speaker with them. So if you want to, I don't know, invite me to speak at your school or event, you can actually check that out on my website, which is www.brycepaceautismadvocate.wordpress.com. And you can go to the services tab and click on that, and there's a link from that to the ICANN network website with how they have on the speakers agency, and you can book me through that, or you could you can invite me directly via contacting me directly. So you can do that also on my website on the contact page, or you can do it on Facebook. any of my other social media accounts, or you can email me directly at bryce.pace.autism.advocate@gmail.com. Um, so yeah. Also, if you haven't already seen my latest newspaper article, so yesterday I got caught up by the Warrnambool Standard again, and asking me to, I guess, share my thoughts with about what Pauline Hanson said. I think it was on Wednesday or whatever, with how she said that autistic students shouldn't be in mainstream classrooms. So I, of course, went, yes, I gladly would like to. So they wrote up an article. They released it last night. So you can actually view that on the Standard website. I don't actually know what the website is. Just let me look it up for a bit. I think it'd be something like standard.com or something like that. Yep, here we are, www.standard.net.au. So that's www.standard.net.au. And then I was on the front page, but I don't know where I would be now. So I guess you could just look up Bryce Pace and I may pop up. I'll just search myself up, see if that works. But yeah, I sort of discuss a bit about what I thought of what she said, and there is actually a little bit about the ICANN network mentioned in there. So Anthony Boyle, he also features in the post, in the article, sorry. I'm not very good at multitasking, as you can see. Yes, so if you just look up Bryce Pace in the search bar, it should be the second one down. So the first one is my first article, which you can also read if you want. That one was called One Voice Opening Minds. So that was my first one from September last year. That was just after I went to the state parliament. And the most recent one is the headline is "Advocate says Hanson should educate herself." You can also find the link to that on my Facebook page and most of my social medias. So, if there's any other questions, that would be awesome. This is definitely going longer than I was originally going to put it on, but because I couldn't actually get it working on YouTube, I am allowing for a little bit more time. Stream is breaking up. I don't know if I can actually do anything about the stream. I don't know how to do anything with the stream on Facebook. So I guess the best I could do, I don't know, refresh your page. I do apologise. It may have something to do with our internet. Down here in Warrnambool, it's not the best, especially at our house. It's even worse. So I do apologise for that. But it'd be great if there's any other questions out there. I just go check my other social medias at the moment. I might actually advertise myself a little bit more because obviously I'm not getting enough people viewing. I just continue waiting, I guess. Okay, so what are your thoughts on her not taking back what she said? So I guess Pauline Hanson, you can't really force her to, I don't know, take her comments back. It is Pauline Hanson after all. Um, she tends to like to offend everyone. She has offended quite a lot of other communities. We're not the first one to be had very negative comments at. I do believe that she should at least apologize and acknowledge that she is a bit outdated and a little wrong here and there. So, yeah, I do believe that she should kind of take back what she said, but I can't force her. No one can really force her. And I think we're actually getting quite easy here in Australia. If you haven't already seen what's happening in America with the Medicaid, with the protests happening there, that's pretty big. I was looking at live images last night, pretty much, and yeah, it doesn't look too good. And I remember reading something about the UK having something similar happening with that we had with Pauline Hanson with one of their politicians. I can't remember exactly what it was about. But yeah. So I just can't see myself. Can you see me with the glare? So the sun's going down, it's getting a little bit difficult. That's better. Close the curtain a bit. Okay. Yeah, I seem to only have you. I might go advertise a little bit more. But if you can advertise to your network, that would be greatly appreciated. I know that Vic SRC, they've advertised me. They have advertised me on YouTube, though. I have contacted Fiona, which is our contact for all this sort of stuff, and hopefully something would happen. I don't know. So I guess I'd see if I can advertise a bit more on my social medias, and if you can, that would be greatly appreciated. I will see what I can do. Um, because I had a little issue with YouTube, I don't think I'm getting many people due to that. I did have 3 people at one point on YouTube. That was great. That was just as I started streaming it properly, live at 3 o'clock. But stuff happened. I couldn't really stream properly. Kept cutting out. I think it may be something to do with me not knowing how to stream properly on YouTube. Um, but I guess I might try again in the future. At the moment, it's probably not going to happen. Oh, I've got 2 people now. That's great. Welcome. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment, and I'll try to answer them. I have already answered one from Gabby Steele and a few from our from what's his name, Solomon Smith. So you have any other questions? Just write them in the comments. I would try and answer them. This is a live Q&A, so I would try and answer as many as I can. I'm just at the moment I'm trying to multitask by writing a few things and advertising this stream a little better due to my issues on YouTube. Okay, that should get a few more hopefully. I don't know, I've lost myself. I'm trying to bring up the questions on here. I've completely lost where I was. Beam. I don't think I've actually heard of Beam before. Yeah, I might give that a try in the future. But this does work for what I'm doing at the moment, as I was desperate for what happened on YouTube. I was panicking, and I went to the first one that I knew how to actually use, which is YouTube, because I've already done a live stream once on YouTube. And you can actually view that on my YouTube channel. That video does work. I I promise that. Yeah, but I might look up Beam and try that. I was actually also thinking about trying to do it on Twitter maybe at one point. I don't know. I've to try Twitch. I kind of know how to use Twitch. Slightly better than I know how to use YouTube. That was really a real headache. So let's see what I can do. I have more advertising. I'm just going to go through the ICANN network pages because I did advertise on there earlier. I'm going to sort of comment and say that, hey, it's no longer happening on YouTube because I couldn't get it working. So let's see what happens. So that's one. I'm trying to multitask here. trying to chat to you and as well as doing all this. Very difficult. Um, don't use Twitter? Okay, I won't use Twitter then. Yeah, I might use Twitch then in the future. I used it a very long time ago, so I don't know if I can still use it. And I wasn't actually using a webcam, so I don't know. I would try Beam, I'd try Twitch, I keep experimenting, see what happens. Um, can't really do too much about it today. Um, just keep going around. So it's I can southwest. Um, trying to think of other announcements I had in my head before that I can't quite remember now. I should have written them down. So yeah, I already mentioned my article. I've mentioned my speaking. I'm pretty sure. Yep, I've mentioned that I do public speaking and that I do talks. I have actually been asked. I did get asked a little while ago if I did talks at schools, and I do talks at schools. I love to. I do talks anywhere. I don't really mind where I do them. Um, but yeah, you can find more information. You can actually find more information on my page, my Facebook page, as well as my all my social medias. Actually, pretty much, I've written a little bit of a post relating to that question that I was asked. It actually has the topics that I can speak on and a bit about them. So I can talk about my personal I can story, which is pretty much what most people have heard now, which is pretty much like when I was diagnosed, my experiences through primary school, and how I got to where I am today. Um, and it's pretty much just mostly an inspirational sort of one. I do recommend it for if you do want to inspire your audience. Um, I can also talk about student voice. So that talks mostly about well, what student voice is to start off with, because not many people actually know, and also ways of getting your voice heard. Because most people assume student voice is what I'm doing right now, physically speaking, but that's not actually true. Um, Student voice can take many forms. This is only one. Of course, standing up and speaking in person. My blog can also be considered as student voice. So yeah, there's billions of ways it can be interpreted. Um, and of course, I do promote student voice. That is kind of part of my job as being an executive on the Vic SRC. Um, okay, I've got a new question from Elizabeth Philgate. So, what has been the biggest challenge I have had to overcome to become a speaker and autism advocate? So, I guess the biggest challenge was actually getting the guts to come out to everyone, being on the spectrum, as I was terrified when I reached secondary school, because in primary school I had a very negative time with my school segregating me from my peers. So that's pretty much why I'm against kind of what Pauline Hanson was saying earlier in the week. Um, and I was pretty much scared to come out to people. I was scared of what people thought would think of me. Um, yeah, if they were going to take it the right way, or if I was suddenly not going to have friends the next day where I go to school, or if I was going to be a giant target for bullying. So that was the biggest challenge that I had to overcome. Um, and it actually turned out very good. No one's taken it negatively. Quite a lot of people actually find it very interesting because they never actually thought that I was on the spectrum, which is kind of the impact that I wanted to, kind of the message I wanted to get out. Um, yeah, because the message I wanted to get out was that we don't really have a look. We're not that stereotype. We're not all like that. Um, so yeah, most people have been very positive and in their responses and all that. I actually quite like reading all the comments and that I get on my posts because it just it shows me that I'm actually doing something. And um, yeah, when also another big thing I had to overcome was last week when I on Wednesday spoke in front of about 800 or so principals from all over the Southwestern Education District, um, and that was quite. It was interesting because it's the first time I'd ever been on a big screen. First of all, so I did get a little bit distracted in the middle of speaking. I did look up, and I probably shouldn't have looked up, but hey. But yeah, that was very challenging. And after that, I got so many positive comments and that about my speaking, and got a lot of principals that came up to me afterwards, and they started speaking to me about autism, and it was really good to raise that awareness and acceptance and understanding of autism. Um, and yeah, the fact that we also have a voice. It's not just the more vocal people out there, more vocal students that have a voice. And I was up there with another Vic SRC representative once on one side and another school student on my other side, and also a principal. And it was really empowering to see student voice in action. So yeah, that was I got really positive comments from that, and quite a lot of views on my website on that. So I'd like to thank everyone that did come to that conference for your support with that. Okay, so another one from Solomon. I know this is silly, but what are your thoughts on fidget spinners? So I don't really have a thought on fidget spinners. I don't mind them. Um, I do understand why some schools have started to ban them because they can be very distracting for other students. Um, and it is getting fairly annoying, I know, at school with quite a lot of people, neurotypicals, using fidget spinners for just fun. Um, it has become a really big issue, and yeah, I don't blame some schools actually banning them. So if you haven't heard that, there are schools I know in the US that have started to ban them. I don't know really about Australia, but who knows? There may be schools here also starting to ban it. I do understand why, because they are very distracting. They are slightly noisy. The spinning of them, like it gets to the corner of my eye. I just look straight over at it. I can't really control it. Um, so I guess that's kind of my thoughts on fidget spinners. Um, okay, another one from Elizabeth Filger. You've spoken about your difficulties in primary school. We found your current school to be generally inclusive. So yes, my primary school, yeah, very negative, not very inclusive. My current school, which I have named quite often because they are very inclusive. So Brow College, for those of you that want to know, very inclusive school. They do accept difference very positively. I actually got asked to come. My principal actually came up to me the other day and asked for a meeting with me. So you can tell the thoughts went through my head at that point. What did I do wrong? It actually turned out that she wanted to say, like, thank me for my advocacy and what I've done for the autism community, and she just wanted to compliment me on that and make sure that I was comfortable with speaking at the principals conference, because it was the week before the principals conference. So I probably shouldn't have said a few days ago. So yeah, my school, Brad College, is extremely inclusive. They're also very student voice. They do promote student voice quite actively. So this Monday, actually, this coming Monday, my SRC, we're actually doing our annual teacher program. So for those of you that don't know what Teacher Teacher is, Teacher Teacher is a Vic SRC program. It's actually written by students, and it is not about teaching teachers how to teach, despite what the name suggests. It is not actually what it is. It's actually about opening conversations between teachers and students in a very comfortable environment that, very equal, non-judgmental. It is a really good way to get your opinions of teachers and make sure that teachers get the opinions of students. We usually do a survey beforehand to find out what the opinions of students are with certain issues. So this year we are continuing on from the same issue we did last year, which is bullying. That did come up as a slight issue, but this year we're focusing more on the policy, possibly, because I probably shouldn't be telling that. But anyway, because mostly students don't know where to find the policy anymore, because it used to be in our school planners. But at the end of the last year, they decided to not continue on with publishing planners for students from beyond year 7. So now we don't know where to find the policy. So that's what we're bringing up this year. Where can we find the policy? And if there's nowhere to actually find the policy, is there a better way to get it out to students, so students know that bullying isn't right and what happens? Because most people, they know that bullying is a bad thing, but they don't really do much. They don't know, what happens with what the process is, if there is a process. So yeah. If there's any other questions, fire away. I'll just work on advertising my stream a bit more. If I can. Come on, work. Actually, I could probably talk a bit more about my speaking topics. So I finished with talking about student voice. So that was one other topic. The last topic that I put up as a possible, these are only suggestions, by the way. You can request any other topics, like anything to do with autism or student voice, that sort of thing. I'm fine with doing. But the last one is about the rethink on autism. So that one is about, first of all, I talk about what is the rethink on autism, and then I talk about why we need the rethink on autism. So, and I do put a bit of a warning on the end of that because yeah, it could be very hard for some students or audience members, whatever, to actually listen to the reasons in that because it does have in it things like I do suggest things like suicide and other common causes of death for the autism community, and also bullying. Um, so yeah, I do warn a bit about that. It can be a little bit difficult for some to listen to that sort of thing. So I'm just trying to advertise myself through my other networks. But if you can actually advertise through your networks about this live stream that has moved from YouTube to here due to technical difficulties, basically me not knowing how to use it properly. Um, see what happens. Oh, I've got more comments. So I'm reading through the comments and advertising myself through my phone because for some reason I can't actually see my the comments popping up on the side here, which I sort of assumed would happen. Um, I'm not very tech savvy when it comes to this sort of thing. It's still kind of new. Okay, another one from Elizabeth. Finally, what advice would you give someone with ASD who felt that Pauline Hanson's comments were a personal attack on their right to be the mainstream classroom? Um, so I can't really. That's a hard one to actually say advice. I've done what I can already do as an advocate. I've publicized my comments on it, so you can actually view that on the. I've got a newspaper article for the Wonderful Standard, so you can find that on the www.standard.net.au, and you can search in the search bar Bryce Pace, and it should come up. Um, so I guess the advice is don't take it to heart. Um, that's only one person's opinion, um, and sadly, it was someone who has a bit of power in politics and that. Um, but pretty much just don't take it to heart. Think about you know why you're in. If you're in a mainstream classroom, why you're there, and you do belong in mainstream classroom. You do have the right to an education. It is part of your rights that you do have a right to an education. It does not specify what education you have the right to. So you do have the right to a mainstream education if you choose to. And I do think that Pauline Hanson probably should have, I don't know, researched a bit more about autism before she made these comments. Um, and the fact that she should leave that option up to the experts. So what I mean by the experts is, of course, parents, educational professionals, students, and medical professionals. It is not a politics. It's not for politics and that. And it's just, yeah, I kind of think it was wrong, and I guess that's best I can do for that question, answering that question. Um, Solomon Smith. I can't actually join you on the Autism Walk in Tasmania, as I am from Victoria. I live in Warrnambool in southwestern Victoria, and I kind of still have to go to school on that, so I possibly couldn't. I would probably love to, but possibly not. That brings up August for Autism, actually. So August for Autism, for those who don't know, that is a campaign that's run by the ICANN network, and it's all about promoting autism and everything that we can do. It's actually kind of a bit of a fundraiser as well, so all the money raised during August goes towards the ICANN network to help develop their programs. So what basically they promote you to do is something that you find challenging. Like, do a challenge that you probably wouldn't do otherwise. So what I'm doing this year, the suggestion is something to do with steps. I can't remember exactly the number of steps, but they have announced that pretty much every step represents one person on the autism spectrum in Australia. So however many that is, that's the amount of steps that you can do over the whole month. And all the money raised through that can go towards the ICANN network. So yeah, that's pretty much August for Autism. Is any other questions? And if you can advertise through your networks or pages that you know, groups, anything on Facebook, Twitter, anywhere, please do so. Oh, thanks, Solomon. So it's 20. Okay, I'm not going to read that. It's if you want to know the amount of steps, yeah, it is 23 million thousand. A lot. There's a lot of steps. So basically, every step represents someone on the autism spectrum in Australia. So the statistics say, these are outdated statistics, by the way, because they were done in 2012. That was the last count, I guess you could call it, that says that 1 in every 100 Australians are on the autism spectrum. So I'm assuming the ICANN network, what they did was they sort of took that information and calculated it, and that's the amount of steps, amount of people they thought up, that they came out with. But there actually could be more, because in 2013, I'm pretty sure it was, the DSM, there's a new edition of the DSM came out, which basically it made the spectrum wider and bigger. So now Asperger's, that's actually been removed from it as a separate diagnosis. Now it's part of autism. It was all along, but now it's actually incorporated into high functioning autism. So that's a bit of, I guess that's a bit of background to why do that many steps. I think it's quite a nice way to fundraise, because then you can literally say afterwards that I've taken one step for every person on the autism spectrum in Australia. It's just, I think it's quite nice. And I am actually tempted to do that. I'm still thinking about a challenge to do, because I want to actually participate in August for Autism this year. So if you do have any suggestions, feel free to bring them up, comment, email me, shoot me an email or something like that. I do want to participate in it this year. I may, I don't know, put up a fundraising thing on my Facebook page or website or something like that, and you can click and donate to the I Can Network or something like that. I don't know 100% yet. I was thinking maybe doing a blog post for each day, but after um, after April, how I posted a post every single day, I've sort of told myself not to because it was very difficult. Be pretty much going, okay, I need to post something today. When am I gonna, when am I gonna do it? I gotta find time doing it. I was doing it. Sometimes I was actually doing it in Melbourne while I was walking somewhere. I was actually on one of the big SRC camps at one of the times. It was hectic. I was all over the place trying to find time to share the stories of people on the spectrum and that, and it was all over the place. So yeah, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to take it. I am actually going to go until 5 o'clock. Due to my stream not working on YouTube, so that still goes for about an hour or so, which is what I was originally going to do it for. I will try and use, what was it called, Beam in the future, is what Solomon suggested. Solomon Smith suggested. So I might try that in the future. I'd see what happens. May try Twitch. I don't know 100% how to properly use that because it has been ages since I used it. I did use that once. And that was because I was curious. So anyway, I'd see if I can keep advertising on other pages. I'm still trying to advertise. It's quite difficult multitasking. I'm not very good at that. I do admit that. I am very horrible at multitasking. But if you can advertise, I do ask again. And sorry for keep asking this, but if you can advertise me, that would be greatly appreciated. I know I was advertised on the I Can Network pages, and recently, today, a few minutes before the stream was supposed to go up on Vic SRC pages, but I couldn't actually get it working on YouTube, so I have contacted Vic SRC, and I'd see what happens. If I get any more than 3 at most, I seem to only get up to 3, then it drops back down to 2, occasionally back down to 1. Bit iffy. Oh, yes, there is one announcement which I would like to make. I have not made this announcement before. I was thinking about keeping it a secret until I knew for sure. But I think this is as close as I may ever get to actually doing what I am about to suggest, what I'm about to say. So a little while ago, I got an email telling me that I had been shortlisted for an award. So I've been shortlisted for the Victorian Disability Awards for Emerging Leader. So yeah, I'd like to thank the Vic SRC for nominating me. I'd like to also thank the CEO of the I Can Network, Chris Varney, for being one of my references, and also Anna Gage from school, who is my SRC's liaison teacher, student liaison teacher, I think her official title is, for also being my reference. So fingers crossed I get to be a finalist. I won't know if I'm a finalist until I think it's like halfway through next month. And then the actual awards night is in August sometime. Um, so yeah, I think that's quite exciting. So that's pretty much, I got nominated for that, for the work that I do through being an advocate, my blog and speaking and all that. I obviously thought that I'm pretty impressive. Um, so yeah, I would like to thank everyone for your support over I guess over the past year, for helping me through my journey of being an advocate and that, supporting me all the way, and giving me lovely comments. I love reading your comments. That's the thing that really motivates me to keep going with what I'm doing, because it shows that what I'm doing is needed, and well, that and stuff like what Pauline Hanson said. Um, but not just Pauline Hanson. There's also other people that say very negative things. For example, Donald Trump in America is very against the autism community. He believes that autism is caused by vaccines. So again, he's a bit outdated, a bit behind the times. Same as Pauline Hanson, who's a bit behind the times. And there's the fact that in America at the moment, the autism community, this disability community in general, they're struggling quite a lot with the Medicaid, or what they're calling now Trump Care, which was Obamacare, but then Trump's come along and has taken out quite a lot of funding in that would go to disability. So now disability, they won't actually be supported in the new Medicaid thing, apparently, what I've heard. So there's been massive protests. Last night I was watching pictures pop up of, like, there's even drops of blood on the floor and all that sort of thing. It wasn't nice seeing people with a disability being carried out, and there's people in wheelchairs having their hands handcuffed and that. It's really sad to see that this is happening in the world, and the fact that people like me, we are needed. We shouldn't be needed, but we are. So I guess I'm just doing what I can. So who is he? So Donald Trump is the current U.S. president. So he's in power at the moment so we're stuck with him until it's 2020, the next election is. So I'm kind of surprised that people haven't heard of him. He's been all over the internet with memes with his supposedly small hands and building a wall and making Mexicans pay for it, that sort of thing. So yeah, he was about passing a bill, the Medicaid bill or whatever, that pretty much was thinking about taking out funding here and there, and because of that, there's been quite a lot of uproar. And I guess, quite a lot of, there was a protest, I guess it was yesterday in their time, last night for our time. There's a big protest. They're sitting outside a senator's office. Basically, they're obviously very against it, and because of some of these cuts, people on the autism spectrum, they won't actually get the early intervention that they need. So families they'll no longer have access to early intervention, speech therapy, that sort of thing, because they suddenly won't be able to afford it, which is really sad that they're actually thinking about going ahead with this sort of thing. So there's a little bit more time left. If there's any other questions, I'm still trying to advertise myself, even though it is pretty late in the stream. The stream did not go anywhere near as well planned as I originally had it. My stream on YouTube looks so professional. I had all these overlays and it looked all fancy and that. No longer have that, but yeah, this will do. Sorry, I'm just typing on another page. So yeah, you guys another one. I'm just going through everything. There isn't much time left, so I will be going until 5 o'clock. So it still gives you a bit more time. I may go for longer, I don't know. It depends if I get any more questions or that need answering. I have already answered quite a few questions. If you haven't heard any your question being answered, you can always go back. I'm fairly sure this does get uploaded as a video after I finish streaming, so you can view the whole thing afterwards. If you want to watch an hour full of content. I should bother because it's over an hour full of content, but oh well. I'm going till 5 o'clock. That's what I've said. I'm going to stick to it. Okay, that's the... I just advertised to Vic SRC Facebook page. I just commented on the one that they put on before. So I'd see what happens. Hopefully I get a few more people. I will wait. I've pretty much run out of announcements, I'm pretty sure. But if you do want to follow me, I am not just on Facebook here, I'm also on Twitter. So that is at Bryce Pace with a capital B and a capital P. Then I'm also, that's Twitter, I'm also on LinkedIn for Bryce Pace. And of course you can find me on YouTube. I've got 2 videos on there. One's actually my first ever live stream that I did back late last year, and that was actually about it was actually live streaming a talk that I was giving. So that talk was on the topic of why we need to rethink autism. So that does have quite a lot of negative aspects. I do I do mention stuff like suicide and the fact that autism people, they live a estimated um, 18 years less than neurotypicals, something like that. That's due to stuff like all sorts of things, not just suicide and that, but also the high level of bullying that there is, because 90% of us actually get bullied, which isn't good. I've been bullied, and I've met quite a lot of people on the spectrum, obviously, because 90% they have been bullied as well. Very negative aspects here and there. Um, so yeah, pretty much that's one of the videos. And the other video that I've got on there was actually a submission to a competition that I entered for the SBS. So they're doing something for they're asking for submissions of videos for Youth Week, something like that. Um, so I submitted a video. They're looking for, the topic was on identity. So I talked about how I was different and how I was proud of that. That's actually what the video is called. It's called something along the lines of different and proud. So that's pretty much, I quickly talk about what I do and all that in about 30 seconds. It's a 30-second long video. It was very difficult to film, so I hope you like that. Um, got about 10 minutes left. So in this 10 minutes, if you've got any burning questions, please fire away. If you did submit a question early and you haven't heard it being answered, you can always roll back to the start, because I'm pretty sure I have said all the ones that were said before, I already received, already answered them. Um, Sorry about that, the bad connection by the looks of it. But anyway, if you haven't heard your question actually being answered either, you can also, of course, type them in comments, which I encourage people to do. So there's about 10 minutes left. There's no more questions. There's also no one by the looks of popping up. There's actually one place I forgot to advertise, which is my own personal Facebook. Oops. I should have done that earlier, about an hour or so ago, but oh well. I'll do that now. Hopefully I get a few more people asking questions here and there. But I do apologise for the inconvenience this has caused. It is my own fault. I assumed that my live stream would work on YouTube. Turns out I am not very good with live streaming on YouTube. I will be trying to use other programs in the future. So yeah, I do apologize for the inconvenience. Um, yeah, I actually was streaming on OBS, but I just don't know how to use it properly. Um, I could probably, yeah, I could record it. I have done recording through it. It does work. OBS with recording works perfectly fine. It's just when I try and live stream. So yeah, that's why I'm thinking about using other programs, websites such as Beam, which someone suggested, possibly Twitch, because those platforms or Beam I don't know how to use, but I can learn. Um, for next time I do streaming, and Twitch I think I know how to use. So yeah, next time I will try and do that. Um, if there's any other questions, please feel free. Comment. Um, so Belix, this video so far has reached 57 people, so that's quite cool. Um, we'd like to thank everyone for your support. Have about 5 minutes left. So, if there is any last minute questions that you want to ask, please type them in the comments, and I will try and do that. I'll try and answer them. Sorry. Um, Actually, while I'm here, I may as well talk a bit about this. So, I think this could be very interesting for you as viewers to know how some of my posts have been doing in the past week. Really amazing because I've actually broken kind of a record of how many people my posts have reached. So, my one that I posted last night, which was about my it was about my article, so I was advertising my article, which was written in the standard newspaper. That actually reached over 1,000 people. So it was 1,140 people that post reached, and one early in the week that was my me reacting to what Pauline Hanson was talked about in Parliament. That reached 1,066 people. So that's from all over the world. So yeah, I've been getting quite a lot of views from people all over around the world, all over the globe. I've had people from India. I've had people from lately from Bangladesh. All these other countries I would never thought I'd ever reach. I've started to reach, and it's just amazing the amount of support that I've gotten from these countries. And that I never thought my story would reach this far. I never thought that my story mattered until I began advocating a year ago. I only got about 2 or 3 minutes until I shut down this live stream. So I would like to thank everyone who came along and watched. I do apologize once again for the inconvenience of not being able to stream on YouTube. Um, I would maybe try and research other ways to stream in the future. And yeah, if you have any suggestions of what I could do for a challenge in August for Autism, please feel free to comment. Contact me. I'm open to any suggestions. Other than, of course, posting a blog post every single day, because I did try that in April. It was horrible. I was just all over the place. All the stress that built up on me throughout that month, it just is too much for me. So I'm possibly not going to do that ever again. Maybe again next year for April, but so if you don't know what happened during April, I can now actually run another campaign, which is Humans on the Autism Spectrum. So that is where they share somebody's story once a day. So there's a story that gets uploaded on their website once a day that has to do with someone's autism story. I actually featured in it this year. So you can also find all that on my website. You can find everything on my website, actually. So my website is www.brycepaceautismadvocate.wordpress.com. You can also find me on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me, of course, on Facebook here. And you can find me on YouTube, which has 2 videos you can view. I would like to apologize once again for the inconvenience of the stream. I probably repeated myself 100 times. I didn't have anything scripted. The only thing I had written down was the one question which I got given beforehand, which was from Gabby Steele. So, Gabby Steele, if you're viewing this and you didn't actually hear the answer to your question, you can scroll back to the beginning of this stream and you'll be able to get the answer. So once again, I'd like to thank all of you for coming along and watching me, and I guess I will see you next time, whenever that next time may be. I may do it in a week or so, maybe 2, maybe even a month. I don't know yet. Depends how popular this is. If you do want another live stream, feel free to tell me, because this is all about you guys. I don't do this for myself. I do this for everyone out there who's on the spectrum, and just to raise acceptance and awareness that we are out there, and we're not, having autism, being on the autism spectrum isn't a burden. It's not nothing negative. It's not a burden. And I'd like to end by telling people that if you are still hiding your diagnosis, like I was for about 4 years, from year 7 till April 10th last year, I just like to say that you can come out. It's, if you don't feel safe at the moment, even talk to someone. Talk to me, or someone that, someone who really does accept you. Because I am doing this for you, so you no longer have to hide. I'm doing this for future generations, so they no longer have to hide their diagnosis. And they no longer have to put up with the stuff that my generation and generations prior to me have had to put up with. I pretty much do this for that. I don't really care with what people really think of me. I don't care if people see me advocating as a negative thing. because I'm doing what I love, and I'm doing this for future generations. I'm doing this so there is a kid that is like me in primary school who isn't getting accepted. I'm doing this so schools can gain acceptance. So once again, thank you for watching. If you want to invite me to speak at any of your events or even at your school, I'd love to talk to students. I think it's really great to educate and talk to the younger generations and students themselves. So if you do want to invite me to speak, I do speak on various topics, not just the topics that are suggested there. I'm also very open to prices and that. Yes, I can charge money in that for my speaking. I may do that. But I am very flexible with your budget. And yeah. So if you do want to find out more about that, you can go to my website, www.brycepace.autismadvocate.wordpress.com. And that's where you can also find all the information about me. You can find all my articles, videos that are featured in, links to everywhere pretty much. And I hope you like this video. I am trying new things all the time. So if you do want to see another one of these, please say so. Thanks for watching, and I guess I will see you next time.